Hello everyone, this is Suneve and I'm coming to you with You'll Learn to Love Me, a Yandere Masky X Reader by FluffyWubs. I'm going to be starting off with chapter 42. I can't tell if I'm on the brink of dying or not. I'd occasionally pass out, thinking I'd finally died, only to wake up a couple of hours or minutes later. My stomach had started eating itself to the point where I could barely feel hunger anymore. My ankles were irritated along with my wrists for my futile attempts of trying to get loose. I was yearning for the sweet release of death, begging every minute to finally die peacefully so I can rest in peace. The only way I could resemble something like death was by sleeping as much as I could to at least reduce a bit of stress. I don't even know if it's already morning or not. Something I did take note of is that I could manage to hear the sound of rain somewhere nearby, the sound of harsh droplets smashing onto a glass, and to be precise. Yet I didn't see any sort of window nearby, or I just couldn't see it. Still, being tied up and all out of energy prevented me to investigate if an escape was near or not. I dipped my head down and closed my eyes, trying my best to fall asleep again. I knew it would take a while to drift off, but before I could actually black out, the sudden whiny noise of an old opening could be heard. I barely have any strength or motivation to tilt my head up, so I decided to stay in my limp position. Maybe whoever entered, which could only be Toby, would assume I'd be dead and get rid of me. Good evening, doll. Evening? Is it already the next day? Has it really been that long? I can't utter anything out, not like I would do so in the first place. My throat is parched, and Toby's heavy boots walk down the old stairs, making his way in front of me. I could feel his frame loom over me, staring me down as if I were his prey. He then proceeded to drop down to his knees, sitting in front of me. I heard him shuffle a bit, placing something soft down onto the floor, right into my field of vision. I recognized the soft thing to be a piece of bread along with something else beside it, which I couldn't clearly see. And out of reflex, my arms tried to shoot down to the ground, but due to the chains, I could barely move an inch. Oh, goody, you're not dead, Toby chuckled. I couldn't make a noise. I'm pretty sure Toby realized it after my prolonged silence. You must be real hungry, huh? Toby cooed, gripping the bottom of my chin to force my eyes to bore into his. I managed a weakly nod, glancing down at my only source of food. Right. I just want you to know that if Masky had you instead of me, you'd be already done, so consider yourself at least a little bit lucky. Toby stated out completely out of the blue before standing up. He lightly bent forward and fiddled with the chains that were attached on the wall before I felt my own arm suddenly drop beside me. I looked down at my arms in surprise. The cuffs were still around my wrists, but at least I could move my arms forward, down and back, instead of having them hanging above me all day. I flexed my arms a bit to relax my tired and stiff muscles. I wonder why he did that. No matter, I just want some food. Before I could latch onto the bread, Toby quickly snatched the bread from the ground along with the other object, which I had managed to identify as a plastic bottle of water. Before I feed you, I need you to say. Toby had the sources to keep myself alive behind his back. Masky doesn't love me and would have killed me by now, he states. I would have questioned him on this if I weren't so desperate for food, so I obeyed him. Masky doesn't love me and would have killed me by now. I forced myself to peep out even with a sore, dry throat. Toby's eyes seemed to light up at my words before he sat down in front of me again, crossing his legs over each other. Good. Here you go, doll. He beamed, placing the other two things he hid behind his back in front of me. I didn't hesitate to go for the bottle of water first, popping the cap off and drinking almost half of the contents inside on the first swig. While I took the bread into my mouth, Toby was intensely staring at me. At this point, I couldn't care less. I've almost forgotten how good plain bread tasted. And as Toby sat there in front of me, he decided to start telling me a story. Well, not a story, more like some disturbing facts, but everything was about Masky. Masky did this, Masky did that. Some of the things did creep me out, yes, and I'll admit that. But most of it was just plain disturbing. It was either about what Masky did to multiple women or what he would do to me, and Toby would describe it in the most gruesome way possible that would send a chill through my spine. I'm not sure why he would tell me all that. The fact that there's a corpse next to me already made everything 10 times worse. He talked about how I should be grateful that he took me here. He told me that I'm protected from everyone and everything. Harm would never come my way, according to him. I don't know why, but it all started to burn into my mind. Was I going insane? Everything he told me was something I just believed automatically. He told me as long as I behaved and did as he told, I'd be fine. And I believed that. No, I shouldn't. He's lying. He has to be. Everyone lies to me, just like Tim did. You finished quickly. You want some more? He offered. Really? Of course I do, I think. I simply nodded my head without saying a word, and as if it were magic, Toby pulled a juicy-looking apple out of his pocket and held it in his gloved hand. I found myself subconsciously reaching over to it until Toby quickly retracted it out of my reach. Repeat after me. Toby started again. Honestly, I was expecting him to ask me to do chores for him or something to earn food, but all I gotta do is repeat words? Fine by me. I'll take this easy route any day. Masky is a liar and would do anything to hurt me, he said. I obviously obeyed him just to fill my stomach up a bit more. Masky is a liar and would do anything to hurt me. It's like the more I thought about what Masky would do if I were in his possession, the more scared I'd become. And Toby's disturbing stories about Masky really managed to get into my head somehow. Toby chuckled, chucked the apple at me, which I successfully caught with a bit of scrambling. I immediately sank my teeth into the apple, feeling the sweet taste of its juices invade my taste buds. It tasted like a delight, like a 5-course meal to me. And just like before, Toby told me things as I ate. Everything he told me revolved around Masky. It's all about Masky. The way he described it so detailed was horrible, even worse than the other stories he told me. From how he tortured the women to how he'd get rid of them for good. It made my stomach churn in an unpleasant way, yet, being so hungry, I continued on munching on the apple non-stop. You know, I'm only keeping you safe, don't you? His hand reached out towards my face, jerking a bit before he brushed a strand of my hair from my face. It's hard to believe, but maybe he's genuine. I don't know. I simply nod, making the younger male smile in delight. Good, now stay down here, and I'll be back in a few hours, he stated in a chipper tone, patting the top of my head before getting up to leave. I'm going to be left here for hours. I would protest, but considering how he threatened me last time with the extension of days, I don't think I dare to talk back. Well, I mean, hey, at least I can freely move my arms to an extended point. It could be worse. The door shuts with a bang, rather startling me quite a bit, and I have no other option than to wait patiently. Masky paced around in his room, running his hands through his hair as he let out a shaky breath. He was losing it. He knew he was. He had taken his daily medicine, yet nothing seemed to calm him down. He was anxious, frustrated, paranoid, and on top of that, just plain furious. The kid was getting on his nerves, yet he couldn't do anything about it. The operator knows everything going on in the mansion. It's like he has eyes on every single spot. Hey, stop doing that, Hoodie states firmly, smacking Masky's hands away from his arms. Masky had been subconsciously scratching his arms profoundly or just digging his nails into his flesh to refrain himself from actually going berserk. Where is he? Masky blurted out, pushing his mask onto his head to allow his face to breathe. Hoodie sat back onto his bed, resting his head against the propped-up pillow of his. Where's who? He questioned curiously. Toby, that fucking... Masky spat, only to be cut off by the opening sound of a door. And to no surprise, Masky didn't even need to look at who had entered the room. None other than that smug-looking teen. Masky clawed at his arms, refraining from saying or doing anything that might cause him to do Wyan any harm. Lucky for him, he didn't even need to speak up. Hoodie did it for him. Well? Hoodie questioned the teen, who went ahead and plopped down on his bed like nothing peculiar happened. Toby twitched before glancing over to Hoodie, arching a brow. Well, what? Toby asked. Masky sucked in a sharp breath as if ready to snap at the twitching male, but Hoodie beat him to it. Where'd you go? Hoodie asked. Toby smiles under his mouthguard before sitting straight up in his bed. Taking care of my toy, of course, Toby snickered, glancing over to the Masky to catch his reaction. Toby knew how to piss off Masky very easily, and he loved throwing him over the edge. She is not your toy. Masky seethed bitterly through clenched teeth, glaring towards Toby's direction. Toby shrugged. Whatever you say. Hey, maybe one day I'll let you visit her. How does that sound? Toby asked in an overly kind voice, and Masky took a threatening step towards Toby before stopping himself midway. Masky huffed to himself, walking over to one of the nightstands beside the bed to grab his box of cigarettes. I'm going for a smoke, Masky muttered under his breath, snatching the box from the flat surface before stuffing them in his pocket. He proceeded to stomp out of the room, causing Hoodie to stand up from his spot. And Toby looked over at the ski-masked man before plopping back down onto the bed. Sheesh, how do you put up with him? Toby questioned, pulling the goggles over his head. Hoodie pauses at the door, glancing over to Toby. Finish the girl off, he simply commanded before heading out to keep an eye on Masky. Toby lazily and jokingly saluted the man. No, he wasn't going to kill Wyan. Not yet, at least. He has something else in mind, and he knows exactly what he's doing to her. Huh? What do you mean? The little girl innocently questioned, tilting her head to the side in confusion. The nurse nervously swallowed. How was she going to tell this to such an innocent kid? Well, Wyan, we don't know where she is. Samantha sat on the edge of the girl's bed, placing her hand on top of Cece's little head. Cece furrowed her brows. But she was here yesterday. She's in her room, Cece protested. Sam pursed her lips before sighing. She wasn't the best at explaining things. While she thought of a way to a word or sentence, a knock on the door brought her back upon reality. She cleared her throat, responding to the knock with a clear, "Come in," and the door handle was pushed down, allowing the door to be opened up. Samantha? Lou? Samantha hopped off the bed. Maybe he doesn't know about Wyan yet. She was about to ask, but he beat her to it. Where's Wyan? He breathed out. He sounded slightly out of breath, as if he had just finished jogging a few minutes ago. Nobody knows. She just disappeared. Samantha kept her voice a bit hushed in case Cece was listening in. Lou muttered something under his breath before turning around on his heels. Thanks for the info, he quickly blurted out. Before he could make his way back out again, as quick as he came in, Samantha held him back. Wait, she blurted out, making Lou stop in his tracks. He looked over his shoulder, waiting for her to say whatever she wanted to say, and she looked a bit flustered by how loud she sounded before hesitating a bit. She opened her mouth to say something, but quickly shut it soon after. If... Samantha uttered out, if you find her, please tell me. She frowned. Lou shot her a smile and a nod before heading out of the room. He already knew who caused the chaos in this hospital, and all he had to do was confront the person. Masky lightly tapped a cigarette, allowing the ash to fall down to the ground before placing the stick back into his mouth. He leaned against the outside walls of the mansion, taking in the surroundings around him. He was exhausted. He could barely sleep knowing Wine was in the hands of a deranged kid, and he knew he had to get to you somehow. Masky suddenly glances over to his orange-hooded partner, but with this guy around, he'd get nowhere. Masky could easily get rid of him if he wanted to. He could make the situation so much easier for himself if he got rid of his partner. Masky wouldn't stop for nothing to get Wyan back to him. Not even if it meant getting rid of someone close to him. That is the end of that chapter. The chapter after that one is chapter 43. Let me know how you guys felt about that, and I will see you guys in the next chapter after this one. Episode thing. Thingy thing. Until next time. Bye-bye.